And welcome to the show. Great to be with you. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk Nutrition. We are coast to coast and worldwide. Hope you're having a good day, whatever and however you may be listening to the show, and whatever you may be doing, and that's none of my business. If you're listening, I don't need to know the rest. Whatever it may be. You never know. A lot of people listen to the show for different reasons at different times, under different conditions. That's what makes radio so intriguing. And if you think that radio is on the wane, think again. It's not. Just as many people listen to radio today as they have in the past. And all this high-powered technology, this handheld society where babies are now born with an iPhone in their hand, it seems. In spite of all of that, people still love the radio, and so do we. And that's why we do this, because we know you're there. And the agenda here is to try to educate, empower, and even entertain so as to help people take charge of their health with the purpose of living a long life with quality of life. Sounds like a definition for successful aging, doesn't it? Which we talked about yesterday. So if you're new to the show, it's important to, point of view is very important. And the show does have a point of view. And that is nutrition, diet and nutrition together constitute the first principle of health. And further, the primary cause, one could say the leading or number one cause of disease, disability, and death is our diet. When you look at the leading causes of death, heart disease, cancer, respiratory illness, you go down that list, diet gets implicated. Suicide is even on that list. You might say, well, how is diet implicated in suicide? You ever hear about, the theme of food and mood? And I'm not saying that diet is a cause of suicide. I am saying that diet is certainly connected to our psychological state, our frame of mind. It does affect our moods. But, Michael Greger, Dr. Michael Greger, has a similar point of view about all of this. And if you go to, and I share with the audience the places that I visit and read and use as resources and sources, go to nutritionfacts.org and you'll learn a lot there. You will. And he addresses this whole idea of diet being the leading cause of death and disability. I say disease, disability, and death. I think he implies disease in his comment. And that's the point of view here. I think all roads to health begin and eventually end with diet and nutrition. You can say that the body has this remarkable ability to heal itself only if it's conditional, if you give it the instruments to do that. What are those instruments? The instruments would be nutrients. You can't build, reconstitute, reclaim, create without something. You need something to create something. Something doesn't come out of nothing. And your health is just that. So if that has the ability to heal itself, only if it's fed properly, if it's given the instruments, the nutrients to do that. Those are the materials on the construction site for your health. Makes sense, right? Everybody's, the body has the ability to heal itself. Not if you're feeding it crap, junk, processed foods, not getting enough sleep, and lifestyle gets implicated too. Not getting enough sleep and rest, not exercising, leading a sedentary lifestyle. The body, how's it going to heal itself? So the principle of the body's remarkable and miraculous ability to heal itself is an empty concept if you don't consider diet and nutrition and even lifestyle for that matter. But I think that first and foremost, the driving force is diet and nutrition together. They constitute that driving force. Dr. Michael Crawford believes that nutrition was diet and nutrition were the driving force in evolution. Read his book by the same title, Driving Force. And so that's the point of view. I embrace it. I've never deviated from it. It's been the foundation for Let's Talk Nutrition all these many years. And that principle has held up. Now, there's many things, as I often say, it takes more than one thing to get sick, and it takes more than one thing to heal. So, it's not, diet and nutrition is not a sufficient condition to create, sustain, or reclaim health. It's a necessary condition. But it's the first necessary condition. It's not sufficient unto itself. It takes other factors as well. If you want to build a wonderful structure, a building, a tall building, you need an architect with an imagination and sound training to make sure the building doesn't fall down, right? You need a good site to build it on. Then you need the contractors who's going to manage this project and all the subcontractors. And then the materials themselves. So it's, those are all necessary conditions to create that tall building. So it's not sufficient, but it's necessary. So today, Dr. Kreider is my guest, and she's going to be talking about protein. That's a nutrient that is part of this necessary condition to create, sustain, and reclaim our health, wellness, and well-being. Swirling around this whole idea of protein are problems. There are problems and perturbations, confusion, conceptual confusion, myths, misunderstandings, misapplications. We'll try to steer you in the right direction about all of that. Come back, I want to talk about another P word before Dr. Kreider comes on. We certainly spend a lot of time talking about our physical health around here, but there's our psychological, emotional health. And I want to address the idea of phobias. And a couple that you may not even know about. They're kind of interesting. And then when we come back, Gary will show you, tell you, ask you, beg you, persuade you to connect. And he'll share with you all the different ways. You are listening to Let's Talk Nutrition. We are coast to coast. We are worldwide. We stream. And if you'd like to call into the show, not only can we let the audience hear your voice, but we can also show them you, because we can stream you in.
I'm Joy McCarthy, holistic nutritionist, and I expect more from my multivitamin. I've researched many vitamins, and what's truly different about Every Woman's One Daily from New Chapter is that it's fermented with probiotics and whole foods and gentle even on an empty stomach. Every Woman's One Daily helps you feel good every day. giving you immune, energy, and stress support, and nutrients for bone and heart health. You will notice a difference. Every Woman's One Daily recently won the Best Multivitamin Award, and I love that it's non-GMO project verified. Discover the wisdom of nature with New Chapter.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Figure's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce.
Phobias and protein, that's on the agenda for today. Before my guest comes on, Dr. Tracy Kreider, to talk about protein. And it's worth a listen when she talks about this. Because, after all, it is 1/3. Protein constitutes 1/3 of the nutritional composition that you need to create health, wellness, and well-being. Carbohydrate and fat being the other 2/3. Only 3 macronutrients. It's not as if, and thank God, because if there were, as I often say, if there were 6 we would really screw things up. we blow up the place, blow up the lab. But there are only 3 macronutrients. And then, of course, we have our micronutrients and other we have phytonutrients and whatnot. But the macronutrients are only 3. Today, we will address one of them. Before going there, I came across, and giving attribution to Medical News Today, came across an article about phobias. And this mental health is part of our overall health. Before I do that, Gary's going to tell you how to contact us because you might want to participate.
You can call us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255. Or Dr. Garko's personal email at drgarko@letstalknutrition.com. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Let's Talk Nutrition. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Let's Talk Nutrition. And everything, all the older archive shows are closed captioned on there for you. And I got them up there by playlist too, Doc. So like with Country Life, all the Country Life videos that we've done in the past year are up there by playlist. So they can go on there and follow
How would the visitor to the site access these?
You go to the main site there on YouTube where it's Let's Talk Nutrition, and then it'll say playlist. And you click on the playlist, and it'll be up there by sponsor or by product.
Is it by category or theme?
No, just by sponsor. That way you can go through them and find out.
All right, gotcha. Now, phobias. There are all sorts of phobias. When you look at the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the DSM-5, they diagnose. The psychiatrists and psychologists use that manual to help them diagnose phobias. And phobias, in a word, are really, bottom line, anxiety disorders. And they're related to specific situations or objects, for that matter. Now, in this article, they talk about a phobia, haphophobia. It's called haphophobia. It's an anxiety disorder, of course. And what is it? It's the fear of being touched. That has other names that are even hard to pronounce, and you won't remember them anyway, because I won't either. But haphophobia is spelled H-A-P-H-E-P-H-O-P-I-A. Haphophobia. This condition is different. You shouldn't be confused with hypersensitivity to touch. Well, that's called allodynia. All right. Now that's different, and people suffering from that avoid being touched. It causes them to feel pain rather than fear. Somebody who has haphophobia is fearful of being touched. As you might guess, that phobia arises from some episode, perhaps, that a person saw, experienced, witnessed, or experienced them themselves, probably early in their life, as I was reading in the manual and in the article. And the fear of being touched is considered a phobia when the fear will arise in the person every time the person is touched and will persist over a period of at least 6 months. If you have those conditions satisfied, then you're diagnosed with that phobia. Now, you can imagine how that would undercut, destroy quality of life for a person, their relationships, their work life, their personal life. It has a number of symptoms. One is immediate fear or anxiety when touched, or even thinking about being touched. Can you imagine?
My ex had agoraphobia.
Agoraphobia, different. Panic attacks is another feature or symptom. Person will avoid situations where they may be touched. Awareness that the fear, the person, if they're aware that the fear is irrational and disproportionate, that's one of the symptoms. And there's general anxiety, depression, or low quality of life. All of those are symptoms. Children will exhibit this phobia. They cry. They will freeze in position. I've seen children like this. Not many. Temper tantrums. And then this ever desire to cling to the caregiver. This it's caused by, as they said, experiencing or witnessing a traumatic event that involved being touched. Now, we walk around in our lives, and many people don't have these kinds of experiences. There are people that suffer from these different kinds of phobias. This particular phobia is very complicated and such an undermining factor to quality of life. Come back, I'll share a little bit more with you, and I'll bring on Tracy Kreider.
The perfect complement to your beauty regimen? Try Form Essentials Zinnia. The finest of its kind, Zinnia offers twice as much biotin as other formulas, which has proven to unlock the vibrancy in even the dullest of hair, skin, and nails. Zinnia breaks through and rejuvenates cells internally, helping you achieve the allure of effortless beauty. Reviving your hair, skin, and nails has never been easier. This essential blend of biotin, alpha-lipoic, and hyaluronic acid, collagen, and vitamin C creates lasting enhancements to your natural good looks. Don't go on wondering. You're worth the results. This combination of ingredients can only be found in Zinnia. Pamper yourself with a proven bit of affordable luxury and start looking your best. Ask for Zinnia by name at your nearest vitamin retailer to begin your journey to restored nails, head-turning hair, and radiant skin today. For more information, visit formessentials.com.
When your alarm goes off, do you jump out of bed with excitement? Or does it take multiple alarms, a few snooze buttons, or a morning caffeine fix to get you going? These habits and daily stress cause a vicious cycle in which sleep becomes increasingly elusive. In fact, 54% of Americans report struggles to fall or stay asleep. For a better night's rest, look no further than Solace, an all-natural dietary supplement that supports healthy sleep and relaxation, so you get the rest you need to wake up clear-eyed, alert, and ready for the day. Solace has given thousands a better night's rest and the power to take back their mornings while enjoying the day ahead of them. Solace is formulated with non-addictive, scientifically proven, all-natural ingredients that support sleep and relaxation, such as melatonin, tryptophan, and 5-HTP. For more information or to order Solace, visit takesolace.com. Solace for healthy sleep naturally.
12.5% of people in the U.S. Will experience a phobia at one point or another in their lifetime. Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. Talking about phobias for a moment, a little change of pace. We're always talking about physical health around here, but wanted to, mental health is just as important. And this haphophobia is a strange phobia. The fear of being touched. Should not be confused with hypersensitivity to touch, which is allodonia. That's a different disorder. That's when people feel pain when they're touched. This is a fear of being touched, even thinking about it. Now, it's a standalone phobia, but it can be connected to other phobias, as to make matters even more complicated. PTSD, for example, fear of being touched can come from a previous traumatic experience, like PTSD. It can be connected to obsessive compulsive disorder. It can be connected to what's called aclophobia. What is that? That's the fear of crowds. I don't like crowds, I can tell you that. And then mysophobia. What's mysophobia? The fear of germs. There have been more than a few eccentric people on the planet who have suffered from that phobia. So it can get intertwined with these other kinds of phobias to make the matters even more complicated. It can be connected to negative past experiences, a family history of this disorder. It's according to the DSM-5, about 75% of people with a specific phobic disorder, they said, will have more than one phobia. Wow. As I said, it can be connected to OCD, PTSD. Situational phobias such as hypnophobia are twice as likely to occur, what, in men or women? Women more than men. Twice as. And then personality types. If you have a neurotic personality, or a tendency toward being inhibited behaviorally, that's a risk factor for developing anxiety and phobic disorders generally. So we're complicated critters, aren't we?
Okay, so I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I used to have a recurring dream where I was like searching a vehicle and I'd get shot.
Okay, you were a police officer.
Okay. And so then, but it stuck in my mind never to ever search a vehicle by myself. So I developed this phobia about searching vehicles. Anxiety about it. And it was one of those things I really had to work on and deal with, and I had to go seek professional help.
Sure. And I am sure, when you're in a high-stress job such as that, a police officer, firefighter, EMT, emergency EMS, or whatever, those kinds of military, those jobs are high stress, loaded with danger. I could see how easily people would develop certain phobias, and suffer from certain anxiety disorders of one sort or another. So, just saying.
My ex had the agoraphobia. And she was a checker. And we couldn't leave the house because she always had to run back inside and check everything.
Check everything. I know. I know people like that, and that's there's OCD too.
And counters and checkers.
Okay.
See, I've learned. I pay attention.
All right. Dr. Tracy Kreider is my guest today, and she's up there in the cold country, and they have their share of weather. So we're glad that she's able to connect technologically to us. Dr. Kreider, welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. Happy New Year 2018.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
How are you doing up there?
15-degree Michigan weather up here.
Oh, my God. And you left Florida? Okay. I'm staying here.
I thought it was bad at 49 this morning.
People ask all the time why we moved. In fact, it's of course the number one response when I tell people not just that we moved, but from Florida, and the comment is, you moved here from Florida, and I said, Florida's just hot. It's hot, 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 and hot, and it's the same. They're like, what's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that?
Said,
you can't make yourself colder.
There's differences here.
You can't make yourself colder. You can make yourself warmer. You can't. I mean, there's a point where you've taken off so much clothes. People are like, okay, we don't want to see anymore. But you can always put a bigger jacket on.
That's right. That's right. The winter wear has been fun. It's been an experience. It's beautiful. We had a gorgeous snowstorm yesterday. It's quite beautiful to just watch it's also the speed in which the snow is coming down. It brings relaxation. It's quite beautiful to watch.
This sounds like a lot of rationalizing to me, but that's okay. I grew up in that stuff, and in Pittsburgh, I had my share through childhood and early adulthood, and it's a lot of work. It's
no doubt, I will agree.
It's a lot of work. It's more stressful. It's harder, and as you get older, and you move deeper into the life cycle, that weather is just, I don't know. It's just too much stress, in my opinion. That's me. But you'll hear me complain during the summer down here, saying stupid things like Lucifer left town because it's too hot here. Yeah, but I'm glad you're doing well. You're at Country. Any breaking news from Country Life Vitamins that you'd like to share or can share? I know that
we've got a lot of new exciting things coming out for 2018. So, we're talking about protein today. So there'll be a new protein that we'll be adding into the biochem arena.
Oh, really?
And yeah, I've got some exciting stuff. We're coming out. We've talked about Maxi Skin a lot in our previous shows, and we're coming out with an extension of that called Maxi Skin Rescue, and it's not a collagen product. It's actually a product that is based with the French melon, and some of us have seen those infomercials about how the melon has a unique ability to have just superior longevity because of the SOD content in it. So this is the first time it's coming out in an internal way instead of an external way in which it's sold on TV in a popular infomercial. So we're excited to have that extension and some other things as the year goes on.
A new protein. Now you got my curiosity piqued. Is it animal or plant based?
Plant.
It's plant based. Okay, I won't push you any more on it. When we come back, we're going to get into this protein. It can be problematic. You'll see.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Figures Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce exclusively on Amazon.com.
Dr. Tracy Kreider is my guest, educator for Country Life Vitamins. As I said, there's only 3 macronutrients: carbohydrate, fat, and protein. Each one has its own narrative, if you will, and each one raises all sorts of questions, concerns, and each one has myths, misunderstandings, misrepresentations that get connected to them. Humans being what we are, I'm not surprised. But protein it presents especially different issues. A lot of people think there is this massive protein deficiency everywhere. I think it's just the opposite. I think there's overconsumption of protein. I think there's an overconsumption of the wrong proteins, and then consuming them at the wrong times, among other issues. We'll try to clear some of this up today, but it is certainly an important macronutrient, given that there are only 3. And Dr. Kreider, welcome back. Is there any point that, before you get into your presentation here, if you will, is there any point you'd like to make about protein to sort of set the frame for our conversation today?
Well, I first want to just address, the great point that you made, because it is so very true that there are a lot of different misconceptions about protein, and I am alongside of you in the fact that I believe there's such a focus on protein that people are over-consuming it, that, of course there is a need. It is one of the 3 macronutrients. However, as with any of them, whether it's carbohydrates or fat, there needs to be a moderation of what we're taking in. And we seem to think that it's just A-okay to consume an astronomical amount of protein. Mm-hmm. So I think they're like, anything else that we would discuss, they're too much of anything, even if it's a good thing, can be bad. So I'm glad that you made that point, that we know we need to power up with protein, but has it gone too far? Is it too much of a conversation for people? Are they just thinking, hey, I can take as much protein as I want and it's okay for me? So we can certainly, I'm glad you set the stage with that at the very beginning.
Yeah, there's certain, I think you would agree with me that these are myths about protein. Protein is found only in meat. Some people believe that. People believe, to your point, and the point I was making, that you need to consume large amounts of protein. Then there's the myth that proteins are certainly good and carbohydrate and fat are bad. And that maybe you can explain what protein combining is, that some people believe that is essential. You must do protein combining. And then there's another myth that a high-protein diet will, unto itself, help you lose weight. Those are some myths. Explain what protein combining is and why I don't think it's an absolute necessity, but maybe you do. But what is protein combining?
And you were talking about the presentation that I sent to you and kind of our prior discussion to the show in terms of protein consisting of amino acids, of course, and that there is the ability to take different types of protein and, of course, combine them together to create a complete protein. Mm-hmm. Because protein isn't just protein. There's different types, and I'm not talking about sourcing, but there's a complete protein, meaning it has the essential amino acids in there, and, of course, we're going to have some non-essentials, and then an incomplete protein, whereas it's giving you grams of protein, but it doesn't have all of the amino acids to create a complete protein. But you could combine different sources of proteins to create that complete protein, and I believe that's the track in which you may want to go down. Did I hit that right?
Yeah, you did. You did. And you make this other point that's important for clarification. There are essential and non-essential amino acids. Something is essential if you have to get it. The body does not synthesize or make it, and it's essential that you get it from the diet. Non-essential means that your body can synthesize or make something, in this case, certain amino acids. And there are certain proteins that are essential. You must get that from the diet. And what are there? There are about 8 of them, right, Dr. Kreider?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and when you think about your essential proteins, and, in probably most minds, people think the only way to have a complete protein, having all those essential amino acids together, that's the best way to go, and that there really isn't any other way. And there are certainly ways to combine proteins to create one. Now, is that better or worse? It's certainly going to give you a different ratio and profile when you're looking at, what the typical amino acid profile is for, let's say, an animal protein versus a plant protein, and how unique it must be when you look at all the plant-based proteins that are out there. There are a few that would offer a complete amino acid profile, and a few that would have to be combined together, not just for palatability, some of them don't have a really great taste to them, but to be able to provide a protein supplement that would enable someone to have the full gamut of the amino acid profile.
And then there's the issue we can get into today, exactly how much protein should a person consume on a day-to-day basis, given their physical stature, health, age, and other variables, lifestyle. That always comes up. And of the macronutrients, of the 3, protein, carbohydrate, and fat, I think protein is the most abused. People, I don't hear many people running around saying, I'm going to go on a high-fat diet, or I'm going to go on a high-carb diet. But many people will say, I'm on a high-protein diet. That's dangerous. That's dangerous, and we'll explain. Here's how to connect to the show. You may have a question, comment, or something you'd like to share.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255 or anywhere in the sound of my voice at 813-636-8255. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Let's Talk Nutrition.
And it turns out that Country Life Vitamins has spent considerable time, effort, and resources in making wonderful protein products for consumers. They've worked at it, and we are the beneficiaries of that. We'll get into that as well. It's a very important topic. I find it interesting when you look at the spectrum, the life cycle. People think protein is most important when we're born, and then we complain. Then for the elderly, what about in the middle?
Feeling tired after your meal? Occasional gas, bloating,
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce exclusively on Amazon.com.
Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition 2018 edition, coast to coast and worldwide. Glad you could tune in today. Dr. Tracy Kreider from Country Life Vitamins Educator is my guest, talking about protein. And, you know, there's good news and there's bad news associated with protein. We need protein, no doubt about it. But humans being the way we are, we get ourselves into some difficulty with protein, and I'm not surprised. We'll explain. And we invite you to always join our conversation. We love it when you call. I'd like to hear what you're thinking and feeling and doing, and sharing that with me and sharing it with the rest of the audience, coast to coast and worldwide. That's how we learn, right? And critical dialogue is far more interesting than monologue, and we like that interaction. Interaction, we want to connect to you. That's why we show up here every day. Here's how to do that.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255 or anywhere in the sound of my voice at 813-636-8255 or Dr. Garko's personal email at drgarko@letstalknutrition.com. You know, a lot of people are scared to be on the radio, so that's a good way they can reach out to you.
Yeah, it's called communication anxiety, communication apprehension. You would think, well, they can't see it, but still it creates anxiety. I understand, but this is listener-friendly. In all the years I've been doing this, I've never been aggressive with a caller or a guest. I just don't do that. Muscle, energy, power, vitality, you know, lots of vigor. Those are concepts or terms associated with protein. But did you ever associate protein with kidney damage, bone loss, kidney stones, arthritis, cancer promotion, immune dysfunction, low energy? I'll bet you it's $1 to a donut, but we can't say that around here. That most people haven't made those kind of connections. That's when you consume too much protein. And then there's what kind of protein should you consume? Should it be plant-based, animal-based, a combination of both? What is the complete protein? Is meat the complete protein? Are you of the mind and belief that plants don't have complete protein? I don't know. Should whey be the way, or is there some other way? Now, Country Life Vitamins, they have wonderful whey protein products. They also make plant proteins as well. They've made a darn good reputation with their whey protein products. They're very good. The way they make them, the way they're sourced and manufactured is extraordinary. So these are the kinds of questions that swirl around and issues that swirl around this whole idea of protein. We make a big fuss about it. Make sure the infants and children getting enough protein. Make sure the elderly are getting enough protein. Well, that's true. But as I said, what about in the middle? What happens? Dr. Kreider, welcome back. Just sort of trying to set the stage, do a little warm-up for you here. I have your PowerPoint. Thank you for sending that. Why don't you go ahead and start express your thoughts and your feelings about this topic, and then as we go along, I'll ask you some questions or make some comments, and maybe the callers and viewers will as well. Go ahead.
Well, you definitely provide a very robust beginning with so many different thoughts and scenarios around protein, whether it's about the sourcing or, the timing, the purpose, how much is enough, how much is too much. And, we established when we first started talking that certainly we know it's a macronutrient. It is one thing that we need to have every single day, along with carbohydrates and fats. And I too am in the mindset that, there are so many different types of diets out there and different lifestyle choices that people make that would choose to focus on perhaps one more than the other. And it always tends to be protein. As you stated, I don't know very many people who would say, I'm going to go on a high fat diet, or I'm going to go on a high carbohydrate diet. And certainly I'm sure there's some out there, and I think there's one in particular right now that sort of leans to some more healthier fats. But we tend to put carbs in a bad place, and somehow protein ends up getting the highlight. It ends up almost seeming, well, it's okay if you take too much protein. When in fact, as I mentioned earlier, and we all know, as with everything in life, we have to find balance. And so, your proteins are made up of those amino acids, and that would determine how it would be either a complete protein or an incomplete protein. And we kind of started that conversation and what that might look like, how many of the essential amino acids there are versus the non-essential amino acids. And, with Biochem, part of the family of the Country Life brand, we have mainly whey proteins, and then we also offer plant-based proteins. And so there's reasons behind the goal for both, and certainly different people are going to take different types of protein, whether it's out of choice of taste or choice of lifestyle. And nowadays we see more plant-based proteins being called just that. In fact, I noticed even people who were following a vegan or a vegetarian lifestyle, they rather express their lifestyle choice by saying, well, I'm following a plant-based diet. I almost think that's the new vernacular for being vegetarian and vegan. Maybe you're dating yourself if you're calling yourself a vegetarian or vegan, because it's unfollowing a plant-based diet. And that could mean a variety of different things. But when it comes to the type of protein that you take in, certainly all of them are going to be giving you different values based on the amount of amino acids present, not just in the gram weight, but in the plethora of what they might offer to you.
Yeah. So you mentioned Biochem. That's a subdivision of Country Life Vitamins. And you have a wonderful whey protein line in the Biochem category or space. Whey protein, it's an animal source, right? If you could explain to the listener and the viewer, where does the whey come from? Just shouldn't assume people just know, but where does it come from?
Well, whey protein is a byproduct of dairy. It's actually part of the cheese manufacturing production, and we support U.S. local farmers and the U.S. local economy by procuring and getting our raw material from here in the United States. And it's also manufactured here at one of the largest cheese production plants in Wisconsin. No surprise there, since we know a bunch of cheese heads up there. But as the curd is being separated, so in this process of making cheese, if we could kind of picture what that might look like, I always joke around that Little Miss Muffet is separating out the curd from the whey. But there is casein that's added to this cheese that's going to help it to coagulate. And then the liquid portion that's left over is the whey protein. Now, there's two different types of whey protein, and we may be getting ahead of ourselves right here, but there's a protein concentrate. That's the part that is just at the very beginning when that separation is being made. Then there's a whey protein isolate. And there's differences between the two, the main ones being the fact that right as that curd is occurring and that aqueous part is there, that liquid portion would contain fat and cholesterol and lactose.
When we come back, we'll talk about protein concentrate, protein isolate, and people will go into a health store and they get confused. They don't know what to do. Should it be concentrated? Should it be isolated? We'll figure it out.
Feeling tired
protein. Okay, so let's get back to Dr. Tracy Kreider. Just for point of clarification, there is milk protein concentrate and there's whey protein concentrate. You were talking about whey protein concentrate, WPC, not MPC, right?
Correct. Yeah, your milk protein concentrate would be a portion of milk that you would consume. So that's in creating milk and in a concentrated form, you would have a milk protein concentrate. This is in terms of creating cheese, and it's actually a specific type of cheese. As the cheese is being created and the curd begins to develop, the whey protein concentrate would be the byproduct of that.
Okay, so it's coming from
different
cheese.
Concentrations of the actual protein in both.
So it's coming from
differentiation in what you would get.
Whey protein concentrate is derived from cheese.
Correct.
Okay, good enough. Go ahead, continue.
All right. So in the process of this, we were discussing the whey protein concentrate versus the isolate. There's different reasons why someone might choose a whey protein concentrate versus an isolate. Some may just like the fact, and this is for me, it's thicker, it's creamier, it's richer, kind of stays with you a little bit longer, and it would have an immediacy of being able to deliver some of those amino acids we were talking about, and have some longevity in terms of a trickle effect almost of how they would retain in the body as the body is breaking down the proteins and thus the amino acids into peptides. Mm-hmm. Now, if you were to take that protein and process it in some way, and for us, we use an ultra-filtered, microfiltered process, one that involves no heat or chemicals, we can remove the fat, the cholesterol, and the lactose. And what that might look like is for someone who wants to consume whey protein, but they have an issue with consuming lactose, they would be able to have a whey protein isolate. Now, different from someone who would have a milk allergy, which is actually very rare to have a milk allergy. We're talking about lactose intolerance. Whey protein concentrate wouldn't be for them. Remember, it has the fat and the cholesterol and the lactose.
Right.
So an isolate might be used post-workout, something where we need that immediacy of the ability to provide those amino acids to the body. And so there's different reasons, as we talked about, and different ways in which you would process it. Mm. Now, when it comes to how it would compare to all the other proteins out there, and what I mean by that is the different types of proteins that you mentioned earlier, the plant-based proteins. This would allow someone to have, of course, a different source, and we offer a vegan protein as well. But it's a blend of different types of proteins in there to create a complete protein.
And complete meaning all the 20 amino acids.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. So what we're trying to do here, no pun intended, is weigh the difference. Right?
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
We're trying to weigh the difference between whey protein concentrate versus isolate, and then whey protein versus plant proteins. Different issues, but we're weighing the difference, if you get my little meaning. So, of course, people who don't eat meat or eat dairy, they move toward the plant-based proteins. Years ago, those proteins were hard to consume. They tasted horrible, the truth be told. That has changed. They're very consumable, taste good, look good, smell good, feel good. So we figured that problem out. That's good. Some people swear up and down their own experience that they develop more muscle when they eat whey protein compared to plant protein. What do you say to that?
You know, it's interesting because I've actually had people, prior to working at Country Life, I worked in the retail space, and there were people who would come in, and it wasn't quite as popular as it is now. It used to be a very small section within the stores, and now it takes up, a whole aisle. But, people would say, oh, I don't want to have too much protein. I don't want to have big muscles. I said, oh, well, hey, if it was just about drinking protein to get muscles, gyms wouldn't be in existence. It's not the muscle that's, the muscle isn't created by us just drinking protein. There could be individuals that would say, I have a bigger muscle mass through whey protein. But here's the thing, regardless of what protein it is that you're taking in, and again, depending on the blend for a plant protein, you are receiving different types of amino acids, some that are, rejuvenating, broken down muscle as we've worked out. Those are the branch chain amino acids. But some are transporting neurotransmitters or transporting fat or even creating hormones. I mean, each one of these amino acids have a role. Mm-hmm. So it would be hard for someone to say, hands down, whey protein is the only protein that's going to create muscle mass. Because, again, if we were to kind of peek behind the curtain and look at it, we're not talking about grams of protein. And I talk about this in the presentation. If we were all out to dinner and one person had a steak, and someone else had fish, someone else had chicken, and hey, let's throw in someone else who had a vegetarian or vegan meal. Now, of course, it would depend on what they had in that vegan meal, and I don't have that example to give you the exact number of grams of protein. But oddly enough, the fish meal, the person who consumed fish, is going to have the highest amount of protein consumed for 3 ounces. It's about 40 grams of protein. Poultry or chicken dish for about the same. It's just a tad less. And then the lowest is the beef protein. Now, if you were to have whey protein, it's even lower than that at about 20 grams a serving. But in all of those examples, fish, chicken, beef, or whey protein, it's not about the grams of protein that you have in one sitting. Because we've heard many people say, I consume X amount of grams of protein. I said, but what's the value that protein gave to you?
We'll continue the conversation. We'll be right back.
Women who are pregnant or planning to have a child have specific nutritional needs. Maintaining optimal nutritional intake is important for mother and baby. Body Vigor's Preferred Prenatal can help mother and baby receive the appropriate building blocks for growth, development, and healthy function. The Preferred Prenatal formula provides essential vitamins and minerals, along with added support ingredients such as folic acid and DHA. Preferred Prenatal also incorporates a bonus herbal blend to help the mom-to-be with the uncomfortable side effects of pregnancy, like nausea, vomiting, mood swings, and uterine health. Support a healthy pregnancy for you and your baby with Preferred Prenatal, exclusively on Amazon.com.
protein should you eat a day? What should be the food source if you're going to do it from a supplement? What supplement would be best to take? How much? With what? Should you mix it with water? Should you mix it with what? Your martinis? I don't know what you're doing. All these questions does get, and how, the how much, that's not so hard to answer. It really isn't. We'll get Dr. Kreider to give you her take on it. And you can call, and you may have a question or a comment.
877-897-8255. 877-897-8255. We are live anywhere in the sound of my voice at 813-636-8255. One of the things that I was asked, have been asked, and neither one of you could probably answer this, is if you're having too much protein, if you're eating too much protein, how will you know, and how quickly will you know that it's having an adverse effect?
Well, that's a good question. Go ahead, Dr. Kreider, and I'll chime in.
Wow. Okay. Well, how quickly could you know? I think it would depend on digestively. Of course, in order to break down protein, we need to have stomach acid, and we need to have the enzyme protease. So how effectively your body would be breaking down the protein might determine how quickly, you could feel that. But I would say that I have had people who have gone on high protein diets, and then they start complaining about their joints. They start having skin issues because of the inflammation that it's causing. And so I think it would depend on how long. And Dr. Garko, you may actually know this. I know you do a lot of in-depth research, but
it sometimes you can get it. Too much protein will manifest like in the ways that you said, but sometimes it takes longer. You can do a lot of kidney damage. Cancer can develop from consuming too much protein. That takes longer. There are all sorts of issues, that health issues that will take more time to develop. It just go back to basics, go back to first principles. Too much of anything. I know this sounds hackneyed and trite to say, cliche, but it's true. You only have 3 macronutrients. If it's a high fat this, a low carb that, a high protein this, high, low, this and that, you have to keep these things in balance and in moderation, and to change things up, not to keep it the same all the time. So this business of, yes, you can consume too much protein, and it can be deleterious to your health. It can cause osteoporosis, too much protein. That takes time. It won't manifest itself right away, unfortunately, nor will the kidney damage. I'm just saying that's a good question, though. So what do you recommend to the listener and the viewer? Of course, you allude to the plant source, the food sources, both animal and plant. Country Life makes good whey protein products. What do you recommend to them, the listener and the viewer from Country Life?
Recommend in terms of which one to take?
Yeah, I mean, what in other words, what are the SKUs, as we say in the business? What are the different types of whey?
Oh, the different types that we offer, sure. Well, I wanted to be sure that we know when it comes to protein, people do ask, because there are a variety of different ones to take, whether it's our chocolate, vanilla, the natural flavor. We have a whole sugar-free line that, in fact, I just had half of a portion this morning. My favorite one is the matcha tea. And so matcha tea, cocoa, coconut, things like that. But I want to be sure of one point, because we've made this distinction and said this several times throughout the show. If you're taking protein, it should be because of, one, you're replacing it with a meal that you didn't consume, or you're working out. And the reason why I say that is, people will say, oh, I'm going to have my protein shake. And I'll say, oh, did you just work out, or are you working out, or something of that nature? And then I'll say something like, is it a meal replacement? And the reason why is we are getting enough protein. If you're eating, daily and you're taking in good, healthy food, we don't need to have protein on top of it. It's still a supplement. It should be supplementing the things that we're deficient in. So this shouldn't be in addition to. And I think if we kind of stay in that guideline, we'll have less of an effect of taking too much protein that we've noted is such a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. So the biochem is where people, if they want Country Life protein products, the biochem is the subdivision of Country Life where that's the brand.
Correct. Biochem and also Iron Tech. Iron Tech is our sports line that we offer.
Okay. And does Iron Tech, you have the 100% whey in the biochem line, which is, that's an isolate, right?
Right. The biochem is an isolate mainly. Now, we do have one that's a concentrate, and we offer that as an organic whey. So it's USDA organic. That means 95% of the product is organic. And then in the Iron Tech, it's a blend. It's part of a 3-part sports system, and so it's a blend of a concentrate isolate. So a lot of variances there in what we offer in both brands.
What would you say, everyday person, not necessarily an athlete, but they go to the gym, they work out, they're average, they're just everyday people. What do you think they should be doing in terms of a supplement, protein supplement? What would be a good choice?
Well, here's the thing. Again, if they're eating and they're taking in their consumption, the average, in my opinion, differs from some of the positions of, for instance, the International Society of Sports Nutrition says that you should have 0.4 grams for every pound. I personally think that's a lot. There's other, if you were to even Google how much protein should I have, and I've done this many times, it is astronomical how each one of them say something different. They're off by just a little bit.
Anywhere from 0.4 to 1.4 or 1.5. If you are, let's say, an Olympic gymnast or an Olympic swimmer, and you're burning 5,000, 6,000 calories a day, you're breaking down muscle all day long, you're going to need more than 0.4 grams of protein per pound of body weight to do the repair. Don't you think, Dr. Kreider?
Absolutely. And that's when that consumption and supplementation of protein comes in and it's appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, if you're eating a wholesome, well-balanced meal, you shouldn't be drinking a protein shake with that. You should be drinking water or some other beverage, you get the point. It's a supplement. Now, if you can use proteins and protein shakes in a weight loss program. I'll explain when we come back, and I'll have the LTN health question of the day. You are listening to Let's Talk Nutrition, coast to coast and worldwide.
Are your joints feeling out of date and stiff? Is that old sports injury flaring up? Is your body aching from the daily wear and tear at work? Body Vigor's Joint Ready keeps you at the ready for any joint pain that gets out of line. Unfortunately, as we age, joint pain becomes more common. Body Vigor's Joint Ready can help provide relief so you can continue to go about your day. Our formula contains sulfated forms of glucosamine and chondroitin. Studies show that these sulfated forms are more effective than regular glucosamine bound to hydrochloride. Joint Ready promotes a healthy inflammatory response, facilitates cartilage synthesis, and provides additional antioxidants. Keep your joints at the ready with Body Vigor's Joint Ready, exclusively on Amazon.com.
Here's the LTN health question of the day, talking with Dr. Tracy Kreider today about proteins. Now, amino acids, and there are 20 of them, are the building blocks for the different proteins. Okay? Now, there's different ways to characterize or categorize proteins. Concentrate, isolate, essential, non-essential, and so on. The question deals with essential versus non-essential amino acids. Essential amino acids are those amino acids that you must obtain from the diet. The body will not make them, synthesize them. Non-essential, you get it, the body will make them for you, right? So it's all good. Here's the question. How many essential amino acids are there? 3, 6, or 9? How many essential amino acids are there? 3, 6, or 9? I'll give you a hint. I misspoke before, and I was one off. I wasn't accurate. I made a mistake. So how many are there? 3, 6, or 9? Here's the number to call to win a $25 supplement gift card from Vitamin Discount Center.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255.
How many essential amino acids are there? 3, 6, or 9? Do you ever see people mention 22 amino acids, Dr. Kreider? It gets confusing. I was taught in chemistry 20. I was taught in chemistry 20.
Yes, because of the fact that there's some that are conditionally essential. And so they add those in to some lists. And again, that's one of those things as well that kind of like we were talking about how much you need every day. You could look at different lists and they'll have one number, and then you'll look at another and they'll say, no, it's this. Yeah. And so conditionally essential is just different times of your life. So some that are necessary during infancy and some that are necessary during so life stage and also health status.
Yeah, it gets confusing. They talk about conditionally essential and then those that are dispensable. I mean, it's crazy. So, yeah, just know.
Right, and then you also have ones like L-carnitine, which are very popular, but actually L-carnitine is a mixture of two. So it's not really an amino acid, but yet we call it that. It's actually a dipeptide. It's a combination of lysine and methionine, but yet we still always call it an amino acid.
I know. When you put the letter L in front of it, that makes it confusing because the amino acids have that in chemistry. Well, we won't get into that, but nevertheless, you say you have. You mentioned we certainly talked about the whey proteins. We would be remiss if we didn't give a little tribute to your plant-based proteins. They're pretty good.
Yeah, and I know that that is a huge part of your lifestyle change is not just plant-based. I know the last time we spoke, it was little to no oil as well. Don't know where you are on that front.
Still a little bit of oil. I still use it's no meat, no dairy, and I still have a little bit of olive oil in my diet. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, it's interesting because, as you say, when we change over, there might be different palate tastes that we miss, but there's a plethora of different vegan proteins. And as you mentioned, it kind of didn't taste too good way back in the day. And, there's a lot of change. Ours right now is made up of pea protein, hemp protein, and cranberry protein. But it as well is also getting a little changeover. Can't really say anything of how it's going to change quite yet, but we're always looking for new sources, different ways to update our existing products. And, one thing about our vegan protein, we've gotten a lot of great feedback on how it does taste, that it is palatable and easy to mix. It's not that thick, kind of gritty. Plant proteins tend to be somewhat gritty, and depending on what proteins they're mixing would then, of course, elicit whatever taste it is. But
sure.
Pea and hemp protein.
Let's go to Clearwater, Florida. Richard, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on today. How many essential amino acids are there? Meaning the body has to make them essential that we get it from the diet. 3, 6, or 9?
I'll take the most. 9.
9. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Congratulations. You won a $25 supplement gift card, Richard. Glad you got the right answer. Good for you. And thank you for listening. So how much protein do you consume a day, and which of the protein products do you like from Country Life for yourself?
Well, I only take protein, and I mentioned that I had my matcha tea this morning. I had the sugar-free matcha tea whey. I didn't have a full scoop, which is 20 grams. I only had a half a scoop. I don't think that I need to have 20 grams of protein straight away out of the morning, but it's also because I didn't have breakfast. So I mixed the matcha tea protein with some more matcha tea powder.
Yeah.
And then I put some greens in there and things like that.
Good.
And I probably average between 30 and 40 grams a day.
Okay. I mentioned that protein can be used for weight loss. You'll find it, whether it's Johns Hopkins University and their weight loss program, or if you're following Dr. Michael Lyon's program up in Canada, where they use a meal replacement strategy in the weight loss or in obesity management. And in between meals, they're doing a meal replacement. Typically, it implicates a protein and fiber often, too. They'll have products that will have both protein and fiber in them. So it does have a place in weight loss. But eating a high-protein diet for months on end, that's when you can get into trouble and have some of the side effects simply to lose weight. That's not a good idea. It can be used in a weight loss or weight management or obesity management program, but it has to be used strategically with good science and good sense. I just wanted to mention that. Dr. Kreider, thank you so much for being on. I hope that the winter doesn't bear upon you for too long and too harshly. And are you going to Expo West?
I am.
Oh, well, good. We'll wander around and we'll find your booth and we'll come and say hello to you. Okay.
Okay. And my doggy just said hello to you.
Arf and barf and doggy, whatever. I hope you stay warm. You take care of yourself. Please give my best to your husband. And we'll maybe when we come there to Expo West, we'll even do a little video, shoot some video with you. Your health is your wealth, and your health is the wealth of those that care about and love you.
Have you discovered that your post-activity